Yeah. And you can't, it's impossible to love somebody if you don't love yourself.
Right.
And the relationship never works if you're in that mindset where you're seeking that love from another person.
Yeah.
We've talked about that in other podcasts where sometimes you will adjust your life and your interest and the things that you have going on, your hobbies, in order to make time for that person or to help them with their hobbies and their projects. And then in the end, they end up not caring for you as much because you're no longer yourself. You're no longer the person that they admired and that they loved because you have given up so much for your partner.
Right.
So there has to be a balance and there has to be.
Yeah, there definitely has to be a balance. And I think all of us have done that at some point because when you get into a relationship, it's so exciting, right? You want to spend all of your time with this person, right? And it's funny because in Marianne Williamson, she talks a lot about the Course in Miracles. A lot of people, when they think of the beginning stages of a relationship, they see that sort of excitement, that spontaneity as most people see it as being an illusion. Like it's not real.
Right.
Right. Because at some point, like reality will set in and then you'll get to see who they really are.
Right.
Now in the Course in Miracles, they switch it around. They say that in the beginning stages of meeting somebody, those beautiful moments, that intensity, that excitement, that spontaneity, that presence is actually who they are.
They are. Yeah.
And then at a certain point, illusion sets in.
Right.
Which is all of your shadow, all of your projections, all of the things you want your partner to be that you're not.
Yeah.
Right. And that's also part of the work. That's a part of that sort of sacred partnership that they talk about in the Course in Miracles, where it's expected to some extent.
Yeah.
Because as long as you're human, you're going to have some faults. You're going to have some imperfections. You're going to be imperfectly perfect.
That's right.
But it's all about finding that partner that is willing to do that work with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is willing to like look in your eye and be like, I see you.
Yeah.
Like, I really see you. Like this bullshit that we're going through right now, this isn't you. Like you're in there.
Yeah.
And that partner will try and elevate you to meet your full potential, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's what that sort of sacred partnership really is about the very core. You guys know that the act of loving another person in a partnership is the ultimate act and devotion to God, right? Because they act as this mirror that they're always showing. Because a mirror basically being that your partner is always honest with you 100% about how they see you and their experience of you. So when you have that day where you come home, you're not feeling very well and you start projecting, they're going to illuminate that. And they're going to say, hey, you need to check this shit.
Yeah.
You know, and vice versa.
Right.
And as long as those partners are being radically honest with us, we're always going to set ourselves on the right course to growing and learning.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not even a lover partner. Maybe it's a friend or somebody that you spend a lot of time with,
right?
You know, that sees you on your bad days and maybe you're a little snippy and they call you out on it. They're like, oh, okay. I see you. Everything okay?
Yeah. It's like what Yvette talked about. You know, it goes all across the board. I mean, it could be your parent, it could be your dog.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of dogs that test a lot of fucking people.
Oh shit. My dogs test me every day.
Your dogs can teach you patience.
Yes.
Your mother can teach you appreciation and gratitude. You know, there's these archetypal images that coincide with a lot of these positions that people take as human beings. Like you're obviously your partner can teach you all about how you show up as a divine masculine man. And the cool thing about learning when it comes to relationships is that you learn on both sides of the coin.
Right.
Right. You can learn by having a beautiful relationship with someone you love, but you could also learn, if not more, from relationships that completely shatter your heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, those relationships that completely shatter your heart, we've all been in those relationships where you just have such high hopes and so much love and you want it to work so bad, but there's a reason why it's not working, right? There's a book called, they call it A Breakup Because It's Broken.
Oh.
And it's a great book. It's a great breakup book if anybody is ever in need of reading a kind of like pick me up type book. And it does talk about toxic relationships and maybe doing a little bit more introspection and like, hey, maybe this wasn't where I needed to be. And why am I so broken by this?
Right. And it's hard to see that. I mean, that's the one thing is that we get so immersed into the dynamics of a relationship with somebody, especially when the intensity is involved. It could either the intensity being like the sex is just fucking amazing.
Oh man.
Or
that's a dark hole right there.
The dark hole, or the toxicity is so great that you start creating these trauma bonds where you're spending all your time arguing. So it takes up so much of your field and so much of your energy to where you can't think of anything else. You obviously can't even think clearly either. Right. You know, that's why space is so important, because as long as we're so tethered to these implications, we never quite get at it. We never move slow enough for us to really sit with ourselves and introspect. That's why meditation and space are exactly the same. They're identical. When someone says I need space, you might as well interpret that as they need meditation.
Right.
Because you're slowing yourself down and detaching yourself from your ego, which obviously is creating the issue, slow enough to where you could actually breathe and take some space. And your whole physiological functions of your body are worked into that. I mean, even your breathing is affected by these situations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you take space from, you know, toxic situations, it's really, really, it's really nourishing to the spirit.
Yeah.
You know, but in response to kind of what you were talking about is like a heartbreak, or when a relationship ends, all of a sudden that car slows down.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like everything stops. And it may not hit you right away. It doesn't happen for most people right away because they have to go through that process of mourning.
Yeah.
And that is a real thing.
Yeah. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance.
Yeah.
Everybody does it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I talk to couples that think that they're so evolved because they're spiritual and they're on a different level. And, oh, well, we're not going to go through these stages. We're going to do things different. And I'm like, no, you're not. You are still going to experience the stages of grief because every human being does. I don't care who you are or how evolved you are.
Yeah. It's just
you can't escape it.
Yeah. You want it now or later.
Right.
You know
exactly.
What I mean?